Hello there. The purpose of this video is to give take one last look at Essay 2. Some of you have already turned it in, or maybe you already turned it in, already submitted it, and that's fine. There will be a rewrite opportunity later on in December, so be on the lookout for that. First, I'll grade the one you turned in, the first draft, and then later you'll see my feedback and you'll have a chance to rewrite it. But for those who haven't turned it in yet, because I extended the late deadline to next week, I'm making this video on November 21st, and in a moment we'll look at when essay number 2 first draft is due late, right? Because it was going to be something like November 7th was going to be the late deadline, but I added many days to it, but it's very close to it now. Again, today's November 21st when I'm making this video, and so we still have a few more days. So let's look at that. And before I go anywhere else here on this site, remember that what I say for English 100 V05 is also true for English 100 V06 if you're in that course. All right, so let's start with the syllabus, schedule, etc. Very useful link. If we click on course syllabus, many things are going on. Essay number 3 is something that essay number 3. So don't get confused. Don't get confused. If you get confused, it's your fault, not mine. All right. I'm talking about the first draft of essay number 2, right? But I extended the late deadline. Because I extended the late deadline, right, and gave you lots of extra time to turn in the first draft of essay 2, right, things might seem a bit confusing because you really should be working on essay number 3 and getting that ready to go, getting that ready to turn in. I think tonight, November 21st, you can turn in the last journal for essay number 3, and then next week you'll turn in the first draft of essay number 3. Okay, so if it's confusing, don't get confused. Look at the syllabus. That's why we're looking at this right here, right? So you can keep everything in order. So as we scroll down and we look at when essay number 2 first draft was due, I think we're looking at, let's see, this is week 10. There it is. So this is week 10, October 26th through November 1st. And so essay number 2 first draft was really due on October 31st. That's really when it was due. But I extended the late deadline. Notice what it said there, November 7th. I extended the late deadline all the way to November 24th. And so today's the 21st. That's 3 days from now. So 3 days from now, that's a Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. That's when essay number 2 first draft is due for those who haven't turned it in yet. Okay. And that's why I said, don't get confused. Don't confuse essay number 2 with essay number 3. That's something else, right? So as you can see, life moved on. Week 11, week 12. And I think right now we're at the end of week 13. We went on to journal assignments. But those were journal assignments for essay number 3, right? Notice essay number 3. Okay. Okay, so I'll stop talking about essay number 3. All I'm saying is that something else is also going on and you have to keep track of everything. And I help you keep track of things through this document, the syllabus. All right, there's also another thing over here that's similar, but it's kind of in a more reduced form. On week 10, right, you can see that's the week when essay number 2, right, number 2, first draft, was due on the 31st of October, right? We're talking last month. But I extended the late deadline to November 24th, which is next week, right? Again, I should be careful when I say next week because I'm saying next week because I'm making this video on November 21st. Again, don't get confused, all right? Don't get confused. I'm making this video on November 21st, all right? So if you're watching the video today, right, if you watch it tonight or you watch it, I guess, tomorrow, because I consider Sunday the end of the week, not the beginning of the week. So if you watch this video today or tomorrow, which is Sunday, then, then definitely, November 24th is next week. All right. So don't quote me. You said it was due next week. Well, what I really mean is that it's due on November 24th. All right. Okay. Students are always saying, but you said this and you said that. No, I said something and you misunderstood what I said. Okay. That happens a lot and it's never my fault. Okay. All right. So essay number 2, first draft, November 24th, that's when it's due. Okay, just to be clear on that. All right? For the many who have not turned in that yet. All right. So, now we come back. I think a good place to go is course content. And we'll go to week 10. We'll go to week 10, which is when the essay was due. And we can use that kind of as a branching off point, right, because that's when the essay was due. So we can see it there, 10/31, late deadline, November 24th, which of course that changed because it used to say November 7th, right? Okay, so when we click on this link, it takes us into the folder. So this is a good place to be, to look inside the folder where all the materials are. Now, what isn't available here are journals to turn in. So you can't turn in journal assignment 6. I don't think you can turn in any of these journals, frankly, right? Because those are in the past. All right. So I'm going to move beyond the journals and just look at the essay 2 instructions, right? Because this is the place where you're going to turn in your essay number 2 first draft. All right. So what I'd like to do is look at the instructions with you. And so that's one thing. Here is the instruction sheet. Okay. Also, let me close this syllabus so it's not in our way. Let's also look at the sample. All right. So there's a sample. The sample that I wrote. So this Albert Cáceres person is me. Okay. My name is Jose Perez, but I'm calling myself Albert Cáceres for the purposes of demonstrating this. Okay. All right. Essay number 2, first draft. Some of you, I don't know if it's you or if it's someone else, but I know I read several journal paragraphs, and a big problem for many was that there wasn't a clear definition. Okay. So the way I wrote it is write an essay in which you define yourself. That means you give a definition of yourself according to a specific aspect of your life. So to say I'm a nice person, no, that nice doesn't mean anything. All right, and I don't think anyone did that, but I always pick on that word because nice doesn't mean anything. All right? I know what it means. Obviously, it means something, but it's so undescriptive. It's so empty, right? Such an empty word. I wish everyone in the world were nice. You probably wish I were nice, right? And I am, right? Except when I have to get on your case, okay? But the point is that nice is so unspecific. I guess that's the best thing to say about it. That's the clearest thing I can say. It's unspecific, right? Gentle's a little better, right? Gentle, than nice. So you can show in your essay how gentle you are, than the gentle things that you do. That's better than nice, all right? So I don't think anyone used that word, though, right? So I gave some examples here. I give some examples of basically thesis statements. These are some possible thesis statements you could have that could get you on your way, or something similar. So for example, this one says right here, Mayra is my name and math is my game, right? So if your major, so I imagine that's someone who's majoring in math, right? But maybe you're majoring in something else. Well, apply it to yours, right? I am so-and-so and my major is nursing, right? And I define myself as a nursing major. In other words, everything you do and everything you say in your essay points back to the fact that you're a nursing major. You do everything the nursing way, right? You do everything in a way that shows that you're a nurse or that you're going to become a nurse, all right? Just like this person here says, I am the Dallas Cowboys #1 fan. So every paragraph will prove that this person is a really diehard Dallas Cowboys fan, okay? All right, so whoever that is. So hence, your definition, such as the ones listed above, can serve as your thesis. That's what I said, right? That is your thesis statement. And in your body, not in your body, but in the essay's body section, that's what I meant, obviously, in the body of your essay, the 3 body paragraphs, right? In those paragraphs, you are going to support your thesis statement, right? So, for example, this Dallas Cowboys person, right, #1 fan, will show in 3 ways that person is a Dallas Cowboys fan, okay? So is a Dallas Cowboys fan in 1 way. So that's main point #1, or main point A, right? Because it's A, B, and C. Main point #2, another way that shows that this person is the #1 fan of the Dallas Cowboys. And then the 3rd main point that shows that this person is the Dallas Cowboys #1 fan. And of course, that turns into these body paragraphs, right? Here's the 1st main point. Here's a 2nd main point. Here's a 3rd main point. Again, that was not clear on many of the journals that I saw. It just simply was not clear. A bad habit that many writers, not just you, and maybe you don't have it, right? You who are listening to me, maybe you did it right. But a bad habit that I've seen among many student writers is just telling a story. You cannot just tell a story. Kind of let stories go, okay? You can tell little stories inside your paragraph, tiny stories, but don't let your essay be one long story. Friendly advice, give up the story. Give up the long story as your essay. That will keep breaking all of your essays, as many essays as you need to write for this class or future classes, right? Give up the story, okay? I'm sorry. Stories are wonderful, but you cannot tell a story in an essay unless the teacher asks you to. But smaller stories inside a larger essay, that's good. And so I'm going to show you that. I'm going to show you how I wrote my essay and how I did that. Okay, how I didn't tell one long story, but rather told small stories within each body paragraph to prove a larger point. Okay. No internet or anything. I don't know. There may have been 1 or 2 people that did that, and I'm talking about 2 classes. So I'm not saying 1 or 2 people in 1 class. I don't remember. Don't plagiarize. Don't use the internet. Everything needs to be your own writing, and that's fine. Okay. And you're saying, well, but you're saying that it can be my writing. You're telling me that my writing is terrible. Well, okay. Well, how are you going to improve your terrible writing? And by the way, I didn't say that, right? I'm kidding, right? But some students, a lot, not just students, people in general, when they receive criticism, they immediately think, they think poorly of 2 people. 1, they think poorly of themselves. So because my instructor criticized my writing, that must mean that I'm a terrible writer and a terrible person. Obviously not, right? That's not true. Neither one, okay? 2, they make a bad judgment of the teacher, and that teacher is really critical. Well, that's my job. I have to be critical, okay? Especially when being critical is so that you can get a better grade, right? So I won't say anything and I'll just put a 40 on it, but I won't say anything. No, I'm trying to help you, okay? And I'm trying to help you become a better writer. That's the whole point, all right? So the point here is that, oh yeah, my point was simple, that you're telling me that my writing's terrible, so I might as well copy it from somewhere. Well, what does that solve, right? You're supposed to, like I said, become a better writer. So just be honest. By the way, I catch most plagiarism. It's usually pretty obvious, okay? This is my 17th year teaching, and I've seen it all. All right. And so on and so forth. So let's get to the sample. And then after this, we're already at 14 minutes. My works by faith, okay? My works by faith. Look at how simple my introduction paragraph is. Okay, look at how simple it is. Now, there are requirements. There are requirements. The requirements are that, some minimums, right? The lead-in must be 3 sentences, And after those 3 sentences, there must be one sentence, only one, that is a thesis statement. Okay, that's for the intro. For the body paragraphs, they're all the same. There should be a brief topic sentence, like the main idea sentence for that paragraph, followed by 6 or more, but minimum 6 sentences. A sentence ends in a period, unless you're asking a question, in which case it ends in a question mark. Okay, but sentences end in periods. They're not lines, they're sentences, right? So again, a lot of people, many did not have a clear topic sentence, and many more didn't have 6 or more sentences. It's like they write one sentence and then 1 or 2 sentences and then don't even wrap it up, or maybe write one wrap-up sentence. The wrap-up sentence or closing remarks was also often missing. So students, you gotta get this through your minds, all right, through your heads, right, through your skulls. You need to build structure into your essay, and it's a really simple structure. It's the structure of life, right? The structure of organisms. You know what that is? That's creatures, right? That's animals, and I'm not sure about plants, but definitely animals, and even like little animals, like insects, right? We have a head, right? Humans too, right? We have a head, right? We have a tail or some kind of end part, right? Or our feet, if you want to go all the way to the bottom, right? And we have everything in between, right? Which is normally known as like the middle section or the middle part of the body, right? So head, middle part of the body, and then the end part, right? To say it that way. So this structure is missing from many of the paragraphs that I saw, okay? And the conclusion paragraph, I don't care what you do in the conclusion paragraph. Just write 3 or more sentences. I think most people's conclusion paragraphs are fine, right? Okay, let's see. Let's go to the sample. Very simple and yet complete. It said 3 or more, right? So I'll start with that. Here are my 3 lead-in sentences. And here's my thesis statement. Done. In the body paragraphs, here's my 1 really short, very brief, very simple, very easy to understand topic sentence. Sometimes I have no idea what your topic sentence means. Again, if you want to get offended, go ahead, but don't. Learn. Look, watch and learn. Look how short it is. Do that too, please. Write a short topic sentence. Isn't it easier to do less than to do more? Isn't it? Am I asking you to do a lot? No. For the topic sentence, keep it short. Just reveal the topic. Now, don't go too short. No, my sentence isn't just faith, period, right? It doesn't say that, right? It has to be a complete sentence, but short, all right? Let me emphasize that point by showing you the next one. Faith is central to my family life, right? And the first one was, I have faith as to my education. So faith, but in the area of education, but it's all about faith, right? Education, the things I do education-wise to show that I do things by faith, right? Notice the general topic, which is faith, that I'm a man of faith, is there, but also the subtopic is there that I'm using to prove that I have faith. Got it? Okay. In the next one, faith is central to my family life. So in the way I do things in my family, right, the way I say things, do things, etc., someone can see, someone who knows me or who observes me, or I'm telling you because I'm showing you some details, right? You're observing me through what I told you about myself in my paragraph. You can see that faith is part of my family life, okay? And notice how short the sentence is. Now, a sentence doesn't have to be this short. It can be a longer, right? But once a topic sentence, right, starts being like this long, right? Comma, blah, 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 comma, blah, 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 comma, blah, blah. That's what I see, students. Put a period on it and then start your next sentence with your blah, 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 right? I just don't understand why people don't, why it is that people don't do that. Okay, I just don't get it. Faith has helped me embrace music. So notice my whole essay is about faith, but I'm using elements or areas of my life to show how faith informs or makes me do things a certain way, right? In whatever area of my life I'm talking about. In this case of this paragraph, music, okay? All right, so I've shown you the beginnings, the topic sentences, the brief, and I would say very clear topic sentences. In Spanish, we say no hay pierde, right? There's no way of getting lost, right? For the reader, And even for the writer, since I set it up so easily for myself, I was never lost when I wrote this essay. I knew exactly what to say in every paragraph, and I didn't get lost because I was just following my teacher's instructions, right? I'm pretending to be Albert, right? Albert is a student in Mr. Perez's class, and Mr. Perez has told him how to write it. Okay? He told him how to do it. So there it is. Write a brief topic sentence, then move on to 6 or more sentences, then move on to a closing sentence where you wrap it up. That's all it is. So simple. Don't say writing is hard. You make it hard. You make it hard. You make it difficult. You make it more difficult than it should be. Oh, sir, you're getting mad at me. I'm not mad. I'm not angry at all. I'm not angry at all. I'm just worried about you. I'm worried that you make it harder than it has to be. That's worry. What you're hearing in my voice is worry. Okay, worry for you, not for me. I know how to do it. Okay, for you. All right, and by the way, notice the other end. Notice the other end, because we need to know where to begin and we need to know where to end. So I know that each body paragraph is going to end with a closing sentence or two. It might be 1 or 2 sentences that clearly show that it's the end. Okay, so here it is. In this one, this was the topic sentence, and then a bunch of blah, blah, blah. All that blah, blah, blah is important, but I'll skip it for right now. At the end, we've got, faith has always helped me overcome challenges in education. Notice it's a little bit longer, right? But notice how the 2 key things are there. Faith, which is my overall topic because I'm defining myself as a man of faith. And the word education is in there too. It is also there, right? It's also in there, okay? Right? So it really shouldn't be a rewrite. It shouldn't just be a copy of this and stick it at the end. It really shouldn't be that, and it isn't, right? But notice how the sandwich is complete. We got to use that. You know, earlier I said that it's like a little animal, right? Head, the middle part, and the tail. Well, now I'm saying this like bread, right? You got a bread at the top, right? A piece of bread at the bottom, so sort of slices of bread, right? And then all the stuff in the middle is whatever goes in the sandwich or hamburger or whatever it is. Okay. All right. In this one, it was faith essential to my family life. So all this better be about family, right? And how I use faith in my decisions within my family and all that. There must be some kind of closing that shows that. More than anything else, faith, the belief I can improve as a husband and father will help. With help from above and loved ones has helped me in my family life. There it is, right? Faith is there, and so is family life, right? And then here, faith has helped me embrace music. So all this better be, and it is, about music. And then at the end, there must be a sentence. I've read that faith without works is dead. Whoa, hold on. I'm looking in the wrong place, right? So okay, let's do this again. Faith has helped me embrace music. And then a bunch of detailed sentences. And then through faith, I've overcome obstacles and allowed myself to enjoy music in my life. Okay. So obviously, and notice this is providing kind of a roadmap for people. Like if you just read the first sentence and the last sentence of each of my paragraphs, of each of those body paragraphs, you can tell, first of all, you can tell what this paragraph is about. Faith in music, or faith in music, or I approach music through faith, right? And you know, and then by reading the last sentence, you know, oh, this paragraph must have shown some obstacles that Albert Cáceres had to overcome, right? Something like that. So if you're going to take a test, you're not, don't get scared. I'm saying if someone were to take a test on this essay, they might be able to get some answers without reading all the details in the middle. Again, let me repeat. I'm not testing you in this essay. What's the tester? What's the tester? Oh no, my life is over because there's a test. No, there's no test. Okay, there's no test. I'm just saying that you can learn a lot from a piece of writing from particular points in it, right? From key parts of the essay. So in the body paragraphs, I've shown you its topic sentence and I've shown you its closing sentence. Okay? And like I said, I don't care what you say in the conclusion. I mean, I do care, right? But just say what comes naturally at the end. Just produce 3 or more sentences. And clearly I have. I've produced 1, 2, and 3. So just bare minimum 3. But they're not like tiny sentences. They're 3. There's like a little one. There's a couple. There's a big one. And then there's a middle one or whatever. Okay, there they are. Now let me come back to the middle. I'm back to the beginning rather. I did something that I was hoping you all would do too, and you can still do it. And those who already turned in your essay number 2, good. I'm glad you did. But if you didn't do this, do it for the rewrite. It's not required. Those who didn't do it, I'm not going to take points off. But notice how it says, I'm a man of faith in many areas. I could have put a period on that, and that could have been my thesis statement. That would have been fine. But I decided to add 3 things. But 3 that stand out are education, relationships, and music. And you can see that. And notice I said relationships, whereas over here I said family life. Well, that's all right. You know, maybe I should have used relationships here, but it's fine. You don't always have to use the same word, just something that's close enough, right? In fact, often it's desirable to use a different word, some kind of synonym, something similar, so it doesn't seem so repetitious, okay? But you know what? But maybe if I were going to do a rewrite, I might change this to family, right? Just to be more like direct, like carbon copy here and then there and then everywhere. All right, that's fine. But I'm okay with the fact I put relationships, but I can see how possibly I could change that to family. All right. Now, so that's like a little map that helps out, right? That helps the reader, but not only the reader, you as the writer help yourself. Because you know, okay, my next paragraph is about education. The paragraph after that is about relationships or family in this case. And then the one after that will be about music. And how all of those, how I do all of those things, those 3 kind of different aspects of my life according to one way of thinking, right? And this way of thinking is faith. Now let's look inside the body paragraphs. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going too fast here. Before the thesis statement, there's something to just introduce it, right? And if you did something similar, that's fine. I've been thinking about what defines me. Like, I've been thinking. And by the way, that's better than saying my teacher asked me to give a definition of myself. Please don't mention the assignment. Sometimes, I'm from McAllen, all right? I'm from McAllen, Texas. Sometimes you don't want people to know where you're from, okay? Imagine that, right? I go to another state and, wherever, it doesn't matter. Let's say I go to California. One time I did. I used to live in California and I went to school there. And let's say I don't want people to know that I'm from McAllen. There's nothing wrong with McAllen, of course not. But let's say I do things the McAllen way, right? And every year, like, oh, you talk like that because you're from McAllen, right? Sometimes you don't want people to know what you're doing or where you're from, that kind of thing. Again, nothing wrong with where I'm from or you're from or anyone's from. But my point is there are things that show what we are, right? And sometimes you show that you're a student. And there's nothing wrong with being a student. But if what you say is my teacher asked me to write an essay where I give a definition of myself, come on, do a little better, right? Pretend that you're doing this for fun and by choice, right? Pretend. And maybe even do it for fun and by choice. Say, I love writing, to yourself, right? I love writing and I'm so glad I got this assignment. So I'm going to write it from the point of view of someone who writes just because writing is awesome, right? So notice, I, Aubrey Cáceres, right, am pretending not that this is an assignment. I'm not saying that. I'm pretending that it's something I'm always thinking about. How do I define myself, right? Well, what is it that makes me tick? Who am I really, I've pondered, which is the way I've thought deeply about something, right? I do this and I do that. So should I define myself as a son or as a husband or as a teacher or as a whatever, right? The things I put there. Right? So kind of a list of possibilities, but then I chose one, right? I chose one thing that kind of shows everything I do is kind of related to this one thing right here. And so then I tell you that it's that I'm a man of faith, right? Okay, so kind of that's just a way. Now, a lot of you have done good things in that lead-in section. Okay, there are some and not everyone did it this way, and that's fine. I'm glad, because not everyone should be. Really, you have a lot of freedom how to begin your essay, and so it doesn't have to be exactly like that. But that's a good pattern I'm showing you there, and other ways are too. Some, you know how I was saying, don't tell one long story. Don't let your essay become one long story of your life. You can tell a really short story right here, right? A little short story about faith. So I didn't, but I could have told a little story about something that happened to me that helped me have faith or build my faith. And from that moment, then my thesis would be, from that moment in my life, I've been a man of faith. Okay, so again, I didn't do it that way, but that's a good way of doing it. Okay. Now, notice that my essay is not a story, because I didn't say, well, I mean, it's easier just to look at it, right? So notice, I have faith as to my education. So what do I begin with? When I was in second grade, so yes, I'm telling a story, but I'm telling a story inside this paragraph. What happened when I was in second grade? My parents moved from one place to another. The whole bilingual education thing, there wasn't any. Learning English was an act of faith, right? I had to kind of figure out how to speak that language in sixth grade, and it all paid off. My faith paid off because I did well, right? I did well in language arts, right? In high school, there were some difficulties, but I got into a school, the school that I wanted to get into. And so notice, I moved this right along, right? I moved it right along. It is a kind of a story that goes from second grade, and notice just a few lines later, I'm in college. My freshman year, I realized it was hard to be far away from home. And so the story shifted now from language to something else. No longer was the English language my problem. That was all right. That was fine. I knew it already. My problem became something else. So really, I've merged into a different story. I've gone from a kid who didn't know English to a kid who got good at English, right? So good they got into college and major. I don't know if I said I majored in it, but the point is that now I'm describing another trial of faith, another thing that I had to overcome by faith. It was a different problem. So a new story has begun. So notice my story, that first part of the story was really short. It's not something that goes throughout my whole essay. It doesn't. So what's this story about? Well, this story was about I'll speak for myself, only for myself, being an idiot. Okay, that's what it was. I didn't do bad things, but I did a lot of good things that I didn't have time for. All right. Now, church to me is very important. That's not the one I include. That one I'm speaking personally of myself. This is my essay. Okay, I can say whatever I want about it. Church, I would not have sacrificed. But some of the other ones, I think this one was good. Dorm treasure, I think that one was good. Didn't take that much time. But the other ones, there were other things too, which there were so many of them that I didn't even mention them. Okay, those things were positive, but again, I took too much time on that, right? And so this was something that was a problem, right? Because to have faith, you have to overcome problems, right? Without problems, there can be no faith, right? Now, yet, after taking time off to go to be a missionary, right? When I came back, and I could have talked about faith there, but that would require not just a paragraph, but several, maybe a book or two, right? So sticking to education, right? And notice why I didn't go off on talking about my missionary service in another country, because that wasn't education. That was something else, right? This paragraph has to stick to education. So I came back from that missionary service and my grades improved, but then my senior year, I was like I started having a few problems here and there. And I could pass. It was fine. I was on track to pass, but if I failed one class, I'd have to come back later, and it would have been really complicated. So I prayed in faith for help, and I studied, because faith without works is dead. All right. And I earned an A in each of those classes, and I graduated within the 4 years. All right. So notice it's all about education. It's all laser focused on education, but education that shows that I had faith. Okay. All right. Some of the body paragraphs that I read were not focused. There were like several different topics in there. They didn't all like neatly connect to each other, or to one thing rather. No, they didn't. They simply did not. Okay. So you've got to make that happen, right? You've got to make everything in here that's about education, because that's what I said it would be about. And then everything that I'm showing about education relates to faith. And I say that, right? I use the word faith, right? Trial of faith. I say things, I say it, right? I prayed in faith for help, right? In this one, similar thing, family, right? I always saw myself as a family man, follow my father's example. Somebody told me it would be difficult to find a wife for me, right? I think it's hard for everybody, but she said it specifically about me. And then through much prayer, which is an act of faith, you probably recognize that as an act of faith. And I found the right person, faith, and so now, so that was kind of a story, right? A story of being an adult and having that little kind of crisis, like, will I find someone to marry, someone good for me, and that I'll be good for, then that I'm good for her too, right? Then another story kind of begins here, right? So notice it's a short story within the paragraph, not the whole essay as one story. Faith has kept our marriage alive. And by the way, I'm not sure it's a story actually, because it doesn't have to be. Sometimes you can say, this is what I do, but without telling a story about it. Faith has kept our marriage alive because contrary to popular belief, the initial passion isn't enough. And though I speak of faith, my wife's faith has been the strongest, stronger than mine. Together we're the parents of 6 kids. We raised them by faith. Notice none of it is a story. That's another thing. You don't need to write stories, right? I write stories when I have like a little, and they're more like anecdotes, right? It's an experience and I tell it briefly. I don't give every single detail just to prove my point. Again, let it go. Let stories go. Now, if someone asks you write a story, then do it, right? Or write a narrative essay. But I didn't ask you to do that, right? So some things you just say, this is what I do, right? We're parents and we raise them by faith, right? And I do my best to provide for them. And I pray for my children, right? And I do everything I can to help those prayers come true, right? So I shut up and listen. None of that is a story. I'm not telling you a story. I'm telling you what I do on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, on a monthly basis, and on a yearly basis. So it doesn't always have to be a story. It might not be your fault, students. It might be that the stories were overemphasized in your schooling before college, okay? But and I've seen that happen. And it's a little bit of a shame that happens because some educators, K through 12, do not emphasize. Although lately in my children, I've been seeing that no longer happens. Stories maybe are a small part of the writing. And now, like from elementary all the way up to high school, I've got elementary, middle, and high school students, children who are in those levels. The story is not the emphasis, all right, and that's good. So I'm hoping they won't have those problems, right? So you can partially blame your teachers a little bit. They may have had their reasons for doing it that way, but I'm telling you, let them go. Let the story go. Okay. So it takes faith to let stories go, right? And notice all my, and note, I'm saying right there, sometimes I shut up and listen, right? Sometimes I listen to what my daughter says or my other kids say, right? And she's right more than anything else, the belief. Okay, and that's it. And then I'm at the end. So all these are things I do in my family and things that I do by faith, including realizing that sometimes I'm wrong. And yeah, definitely I'm wrong sometimes, right? Or often. Then there's music, right? This is a story, right? A little story about how, somebody said, implied that I wasn't the best teacher, not the best teacher, maybe I'm not, right? But the best singer, right? Because you can see what it says, right? teacher says she put the students who are the best singers in one position and I was in the opposite position, right? Okay. Then I tell another story. I watched this video, right? And I kind of started getting over my shyness with singing until I became annoying with singing or with music, right? So again, so this was like a little thing that helped me have faith, right? I really liked that song or that music I was listening to, but and so then that got me, hey, maybe I can sing, and who cares what people think, right? In high school, well, I started playing the cello, and that was good too. There was a crisis of faith, which is that some challenged me and beat me, right? The richer kids or whatever. I quit, so I didn't show faith. I had the opposite of faith because quitting is usually not a thing of faith, right? And that's the thing I'm trying to say, right? And so now I feel terrible about it. However, I got back into it, right? So there was a little story in there too, right? The story of what happened to me earlier, a positive story, how I got more faith by singing at least, right? And then the story, I guess there's some faith in doing well, right? But then giving up after a challenge, right? And failing at a challenge. But then the happy story is that right now I do other things, right? I go with faith and I even play publicly, even if it might not sound perfectly, but it sounds good enough and I like it. No one else likes it, fine, I like it. That's good enough for me, right? By the way, if you're having trouble having faith when you're 20s, when you get in your 40s, it might still be hard. But guess what? It's not as hard. A lot of things that were important 20 years ago are no longer important at all right now. And I'm grateful for that, right? Because we can't go through life always reliving the past. If the past was negative, if the past was positive, then relive it every day, right? But when it's something negative, let's let them go. Let's let it go, right? And I'm here to tell you that we can overcome by faith, and time does heal wounds sometimes. Now, and again, here's the point. The point is that I have the faith to sing, right? To sing and to play and do all kinds of stuff. And so all of it's laser focused on music, but all of that music is laser focused on faith, right? That's the key. Students, you need to achieve that in your essays. It seems to me like some sentences go off in different directions, and often it's because you're trying to tell a story and the story doesn't completely relate to it's in the paragraph, to what the paragraph should be about. And a worse problem is that I'm not even sure what your paragraph is about. Like I know what this guy's paragraphs are about: music, family life, which earlier he called relationships, right? And education, right? And I knew it from the start because he told me, right? I know it's me. I know I wrote the essay, but again, I'm pretending to be a student writing this, right? So that's how it goes. Oh my gosh, pardon me for scrolling up and down. That must be so annoying. Okay. All right, let me do something real quick here. I'm gonna take this right here. Which one is it? I like the one about, how about this one? Everything about me whispers that I'm a librarian. Okay, I've got a Word document right here. Let me magnify it a little bit. Okay, now I'm not going to put headings or anything on it, so okay. You will have to have a good heading and everything. I'm just going to write a little bit, okay? So how about this person says, I'm going to use kind of a similar pattern, right? People often, ask themselves who they really are, right? Really are. For some, for some, it may take years, it may take decades, right? It may take decades to find out. Okay, good. Suppose I need 3 sentences, right? Before getting to the thesis. In my case, it didn't take that long. It didn't take that long to realize what is at my core or something, or at my core or center. And again, I shouldn't take too long second guessing what I'm saying, so I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay, at my core. And notice I'm not using the word definition, right? I could realize what the way to do. It didn't take that long to realize the thing that really defines me. I could say that, but I think this says it without using that word. Okay. So that's it. Good enough. Three sentences. I could have done a little story about my topic, but whatever, right? Now I'm going to paste, right? Because I had a, everything about me whispers librarian. I like that. Everything about me whispers librarian. Period. I don't need to put the three things, but you know what? I'm going to, because I love books, right? So something about books. Yeah, I'll just leave it at that, because I love books. I'm very strict, and because I love books, I'm very strict. I think I'm just turning into a little sentence there. I am very strict, and I'm majoring in, and I'm going to get a master's in library science. It doesn't need to be capitalized. Library science. All right. See how simple it is? It's that simple. Okay, again, I'm not using proper, I'm not double spacing, I don't have a heading or anything. That's not the point here. All right. Okay. So I guess I can go with the first one. Okay. I mean, first of all, you don't need to say first of all, but okay, first of all, or maybe above all, my love of books is what makes me a true librarian. Since Spanish is my first language, the word library, not library. Okay, a lot of people say library. Take a moment to say library. All right. Okay. Don't get mad at me. Just start doing it right. Okay. The word library has always made sense. Has always made sense to me. And by the way, in case you think I'm all that in a bag of chips, I'm not. I can't say February. I struggle with that one. February. On that one, a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people all over the country, everywhere, all over the world too, say February. I've noticed it. And I've noticed it everyone, everywhere, on TV, not on TV, famous, not famous. A lot of people say February because it's so hard to say February. I don't know why it's so hard, but it is. All right, I understand. But library, okay, it's an important place. Let's pronounce it correctly. So since Spanish is my first language, the word library has always made sense to me because, why? Because of the word of the because of the Spanish word for book, for book, which is libro, right? Something like that. Right? Okay. All right. I was always that weird kid with his nose buried in a book. Okay. Not only, and you know what? I don't want to write the whole thing. So let me put something like something like one or more sentences on that. Okay. not only was I always reading books, but I was even writing them. Okay, I don't know, an exclamation point on that or something, but let's leave it as a period. So not only was I always reading books, but I was even writing them. Okay. However, oh, and maybe another sentence on that. Maybe like a book that I wrote, right? At least one sentence on that. It would be kind of like a little tiny mini story. I wrote a book about whatever and blah blah blah, and I read it to my parents, or I even read it at school, or I got a prize for it, or blah blah blah, right? At least probably this could be a book. This could be a story too. Maybe some kids unfairly teased me or something. And I'm saying me because that wasn't me. I didn't write books or anything when I was a kid. All right, at least one sentence on this other little thing, right? However, what really tells me, or the thing that tells me that I'm a librarian through and through is that what? Is that I have been building my own personal library ever since I was 4 years old. Again, I'm inventing all this because, by the way, students, friendly hint, I could turn this in and no one would ever know. By the way, it wouldn't be wrong. It wouldn't be wrong if I turned this in. It's not me. It's not about me. I'm just making it up. Sometimes you can just invent the whole thing. Who's going to know, right? And is it wrong anyway? I don't know. I mean, you be the judge of that. But if my completely made up thing here about being a librarian, right, which I'm not, is fulfilling the course requirements, right? Can I just turn it in, right? And does it matter that I don't really care about being a librarian? I'm showing my teacher that I know how to organize an essay with a thesis statement and this and that, right? So what's the problem? So I think sometimes we get hung up too much on like, well, I don't know what to write about. Well, I don't know what to write about. I don't know what to write about. Well, write about whatever you want. Just follow the rules on it, right? Now, I do believe though, the story about faith was completely true. Not the story, the essay that I've shown you in my sample about faith, that one is totally real. And I definitely have more emotion toward that one. And hopefully that emotion, that feeling that I have for my family, for music, right, for education, that probably shines through the essay. So maybe it's a better essay than this one where I'm just saying whatever, right? But again, don't ever keep that as an option, kind of inventing stuff, right? However, the thing that tells me I'm a librarian is that I've been building my personal library ever since I was 4 years old. I have my own reference section with encyclopedias. Yeah, I can't believe I got that right. And dictionaries. I have there's the fiction section. And I have many biographies. There's even a restricted section. And do I let people borrow my books? Yes, but they have to check them out, for which I have some library cards. Some library cards. I'm thinking about going electronic, using social media somehow. I'm looking for something like that. Perhaps an app. Okay. All right, now I'm really making stuff up. I mean, that's just running wild with my imagination. But what's the whole point here? This is a person that's showing that this person is showing that this person is a true librarian, even though they're not a librarian yet, right? They're not working at a library yet. And so I don't know. This person might be in college, right? It's college age, right? Writing an essay for a college class. So I didn't say how old. I didn't say how old I was, right? Quote unquote, I was. But you can see, and all of this, the fact that this person loves books, right? Is loves books and even has all these books already gathered, right? Because what is it? Because I love books. Maybe it's something like I love and have, because I love. Let me see. No, I'm gonna stick with love books because doing this shows that the person loves the book. So, but I probably need to say that. So you want to check them out. We have the cards. All right, here we go. I love my books. See, I'm bringing it back. Bringing it back. I love my books, and so I don't want anything to happen to them. And yes, I do find those who lose, who are late, returning my precious books, and of course those who damage or lose my treasures. Isn't that great? So you see that's I put it back to love because I was worried that this wasn't showing love. It was showing that there's a bunch of books, but no, but it does, right? But I felt I had to say it. I love my books, so I don't want anything to happen to them. So that connects, right? So the love of books, already being like a librarian, right, is the first point. But I need to wrap it up, right? I need to wrap it up by saying, therefore, my lifelong love of books is one of the things that makes me truly a true librarian. There it is. Remember, I slow it down, librarian. And if I say it slowly, eventually I can say it more quickly and I can say it right. Okay? Don't get mad at me because I'm asking you to say things right. Okay? Get mad at people who don't tell you anything. Okay? Get mad at people who say, yeah, you can't do it. You know, get mad at those people. Or don't get mad, right? We shouldn't get angry. But if you're going to get angry at someone, let it be at those people, not at those of us who try to help you improve. All right. Okay, so there, and notice I'm counting to show you there's a bunch of sentences, plus there's some sentences I didn't even put in there, right? That I didn't even fill in. But so this is a nice paragraph. There's the short, topic sentence. There's the closing remarks, and then there's several sentences in between. For sure, 6 or more. And I didn't even bother to show you the count on my sample because I've done it before in previous videos, and for sure it's 6 or more, lots of them. My problem with that essay is that I had to keep it to the maximum of 1,200 words. So I hope this helps. You saw me write a short introduction. You saw me, right? You saw here how I took the first thing, the love of books, and I turned it into a body paragraph, and then so on and so forth. Okay? I think that helps, doesn't it? And we could do that with any of these topics, or with your topic. You can do that with your topic. Just kind of take it one thing at a time, slowly, calmly. And And always keeping this in mind, like, I don't know, take a picture of this with your phone, right? And then keep looking back at your phone. If you have access to a printer, perhaps at a public place or even in your own home, print out the whole instructions and make sure you're following the instructions as you do it, right? If you do that, you'll be able to write this essay in an organized way that makes sense. Okay, now something that I've been thinking of saying the whole time. I already explained a lot of things in my videos, and they're all in here, right? The journal assignment 6 video. I think the assignments are gone, so I can see it here, but you can. It says this was available on October 5th, journal assignment 6 for essay number 2, right? But the videos are still there. You can still watch them. You can see the sample paragraphs, the video and the sample paragraph, and so on and so forth for journal 6 through 10. And then, of course, the instructions to the sample are there. Very important instructions are here as to how to turn them in, turn in the essay, and all that. But I won't go into that because the videos that I had already shown you before, provided here, say all that. So I'm just providing another video, okay? Another video. And where am I going to put this? Or rather, where did you get it from if you already got this? I'm going to put it in here. Okay, I'm going to put it in here because I haven't finished the video yet. I'll place it in here. Probably it'll be right before the essay thing. It'll be like right in here. Maybe you got it from here, right? And it'll be also in week 14, I think, right? Yeah, week 4. Yeah, I think I'll stick it here in week. Let me see. Yeah, I'll stick it in week 14 because this late essay number 2. You know what? I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to put it in the weekly folder, right? I'm just going to put it there in the essay 2 folder because I don't want there to be some other thing where there are other assignments in there, right? Other essays, right? So it'll get confusing. So that would be my fault, I think, if you get confused because now there's something else in there, which is an old essay from back in October, right? So I'll just put it in the essay 2 folder where it's not going to cause any problems. And so that's where you got it from, right? Because if you're watching this in the future, that's where you got it from. Okay. And that's why I put it there in the essay 2 folder. All right, that's it. And I've enjoyed making this video. Remember, I'm on your side, but sometimes to be on your side, I've got to tell you, snap out of it. Don't do it like that anymore. Do it like this, okay? And there are other ways of writing essays too. But I think the method that I've been trying to show you is kind of one that's very crisp and clear and to the point. And then you can expand on that in the future in larger essays with more complicated structures, right? That are built in a little bit more detailed manner. That's fine, but this is the building block. Whenever I'm writing something big, something that's 100 pages, I've done that before, something that's 20 pages, 40 pages, something that's 15 pages, whatever it is, I always come back to my simple structure of head, middle section, and tail, okay? Everything, right? And I mean, maybe there's several paragraphs or several pages to each of those pieces, but it always comes back to something simple. Everything complicated can be simplified, all right? And you start with something simple and build something greater and more complex, right? So that's I would like to point that out, and that's true in every topic in school and every topic in life. Okay. All right, enough philosophizing. That's it. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.